Hi, Sean Still, and in this video we're going to talk about starting a new sprint. And we're going to navigate to our project, and because we don't have anything active right now, as we see right here, no active sprints, we need to start our next sprint. But there are a couple things that we're going to want to do before we launch our active sprint. And this is where the role of the Scrum Master really becomes critical in moments like this. All right. So before we launch our next sprint, a good Scrum Master is going to want to know certain pieces of information, and in particular, what the velocity of the team is. All right. Now, generally, it takes about 3 sprints for the team to begin to develop a velocity. All right. But in this case, we don't have 3 complete sprints. So we need to go off of what we do have, and that is we do have one completed sprint that that we can look at. All right. So this is the velocity chart, and it shows what the team committed to at the beginning of the sprint versus what it completed at the end of the sprint. All right. We can look down here, and we can, in the bottom right hand corner, we can see that the team committed to 32 story points, but it completed 35. Now, when a team is first forming or they are an immature team, what they commit to versus what they complete can vary wildly. All right, until the team finds its rhythm. All right, so just because the team completed 35 stories in this sprint, in this last sprint, doesn't mean I'm automatically going to allow them to bring 35 points into the next sprint. All right, if I'm a good Scrum Master, I'm not going to allow that to happen, or I'm highly going to encourage the team to not do that. And there's a bunch of reasons why that I'll go into here in a moment. All right, but really quickly, looking at this velocity chart, just how to read it really quick. We've got the committed points, we've got the completed points, and it gives us 2 bar charts. All right, it gives us in the gray, that's what the team committed to at the beginning of the sprint, and the green is what they delivered at the end of the sprint. Now, if they committed to 32 points, but they only delivered, say, 25, we would see this green line much lower. Pretty simple chart, very powerful chart, especially when you've got a team that has a number of stories, or excuse me, a number of sprints completed. It gives you really good historical data that you can make some really good, firm, solid decisions around. But any team that is immature, first forming, etc., these bar charts are going to vary wildly as the team matures and finds its rhythm. Okay, but we can see that the team committed 35 points in our last sprint, and I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind because in this case I am playing the role of the Scrum Master. All right, so I look here and I go, all right, well, in our next planned sprint, I see that we've got 9 issues with a total of 30 points. All right, me personally, I don't like to go beyond about 75%. All right, if I've got an immature team, 75% of what they completed the previous sprint. So in this case, 75% of 35 is going to be somewhere right around, let's just call it 25-ish points. All right, so we're talking, this is a little bit heavy for me. We've got a few too many stories in here, so we really need to kind of thin it out a little bit. So the team can negotiate with the product owner and land on a number that is suitable for them. And right now, the Scrum Master is telling us our target really kind of needs to be around 25. All right, maybe 27, 28, but at the moment, shooting for about 25. So if this is properly prioritized, then these two down here represent about 5 points. All right, those we can move to the next sprint, and now we've landed back at our 25 number. And once the team is now happy with the amount of points that they have in their active sprint, and they are comfortable with committing to those points, now it is time to launch the sprint. All right, and in this case, we're just going to come up here. We're going to hit the sprint start button. At this point, we have the ability to change the sprint name if we want to. The duration in this case is going to be custom. If we wanted to go 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks, we can do that. But this one is just going to last a single day. It's going to start in a few minutes, and it's going to end approximately same time tomorrow. And that looks good to me. Because it is less than a day, it says that there are 0 working days. That's just the math that Jira is doing in the background. And we're going to go ahead and hit start. And now we've got our issues that we committed to. But lo and behold, we made a mistake. And we caught it, but it was a little too late. And it has to do with this story. Let me go and find it. I believe it was a 2-point story. This one right here. Remember, this was the story that we punted out of the previous sprint, and we made a mistake. And and it should have been in the active sprint. Things like this happen, and that's totally okay. All right, totally okay. But we need to fix that mistake. This story is really, really close to done. It's a relatively small story. So after doing some negotiation with the team agrees and says, yes, let's pull that story in and finish it out. They're comfortable with committing to it. So we go ahead and we move it up into our active sprint. Jira gives us the warning because we already started the sprint. So it gives us the chance to say, you know, is this something that we really want to do, because we are affecting our committed scope. And we confirm and we say yes. And there we go. So when we come over to our active sprint, now we see the stories that we committed to, and we see that story that was really close to the finish line in the previous sprint that just didn't quite make it. So that is how you start a new sprint. That is also how you, showing you again how to do a scope change by adding a story that was missed. All right, look forward to talking to you in the next video. Take care.